right, it is Figgie and the Moose right here. And you're dancing, Figgie. What's going on?
Did you hear that song? Yeah, that just sounds awesome.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. Didn't realize it was that good. Okay. I thought maybe we were listening to some music in the background. Very
No,
nice.
no, but it's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's got us going. It's a happy
I
hump
got
day to you.
Yeah, it's Figgie and the Moose here on this Wednesday, right here on Pix 11 Plus. Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa with you. Happy hump day.
Yes, indeed. Getting early down here. Got the day show over. National Running and Walking Day, National Cheese Day. I don't know how those are on the same day, but it seems like a recipe for disaster.
Everything's got a day now, so not all that big of a deal. If it's National Cheese Day, Running Day, Walking Day, why is it Running Day and Walking Day? Why don't they have different days?
You would think, right? But hey, if it's good enough for Lincoln and George Washington to share a day, why not cheese and walking?
That's it. Big
running.
news of the day. Obviously, yesterday was Tom Thibodeau out as Knicks head coach, let go. He's got 3 years, $30 million coming to him. Has even dipped into that extension that he agreed to a year ago as of yet. After the Knicks reach the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years and get frustrated for sure by this move by the Knicks. What was your reaction to it, Figgy?
Shock, honestly. I didn't. You would think the vision was there to say that this team took another step in the right direction. This team, did they take advantage of maybe a weaker path than what was expected with a Celtics team playing at clicking on all cylinders and the Cavs not having three of their starters hurt? I think if you want to look at it that way, but is this the end of the run? Was this what you thought the max potential of this team was? No, there were a lot of deficiencies that we saw, and the players put it on themselves first and foremost because of how that game one collapsed, because of how the turnovers played out, because of how the free throws were undoubtedly a part of every single game that they were in. It wasn't as if they got blown out by 42 points in the last game and then we said, oh, this is exactly who this team is and they can't get any better or be any better. It was very curious the timing of it because it was so soon, so sudden. And, after an endorsement from Jalen Brunson, the team captain, where, it's a ridiculous notion that Tom Thibodeau is the right guy or not the right guy. When he was asked that question, to see it a day later where this decision came from much higher than a Jalen Brunson and leads to the team looking for a new coach. And the biggest question, of course, is who's next?
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going to go for their next head coach. It was. It was surprising. I guess, if you read the tea leaves and kind of everything was going on, maybe it shouldn't be as surprising since, you had the stuff from Ian Begley does a great job on SNY, stuff that he had on his podcast or said on a podcast a couple of days ago in terms of that he thought he'd be back, but, wasn't kind of written in stone sort of an extent. And then the news comes out yesterday. You get the statement from Leon Rose and the Knicks, and it's frustrating because I think the world of dysfunction probably has returned to the New York Knicks franchise, something that was there for the better part of 20 years. Got cleaned up a little bit with Leon Rose. But now I think that probably is back a little bit with James Dolan getting involved in this, because I do think it was the owner who kind of pushed for this. You can couch it and say that that Leon Rose has to sign off on it for sure. But if the owner is something that he wants, the Knicks president, you could talk about the wealth of Leon Rose, but there's a lot that comes along with being president of the New York Knicks that he had to sign off on it. So he did. Leon Rose was the guy who represented Tom Thibodeau. The Thibodeau Brunson Rose relationship is very, very strong. Now you break that up. You got Jalen speaking up for his head coach. How's that going to go over with the Knicks captain? Who exactly is going to be the next individual if the singular focus is on winning a championship for our fans? See, that's the thing that I don't really necessarily love that statement. That doesn't sound like a Leon Rose statement. Sounds like a James Dolan statement more so than anything else. So I didn't love necessarily that. Didn't love the statement. Feel bad for Tibbs. I understand it's hard to feel bad for someone that's getting $30 million. away over the course of the next 3 years, but I do feel bad for him because it was a dream job for him, and people want to focus in on. I think it's more of a case people really want to focus in on all the negatives instead of the positives about where this team was, being appreciative about everything that's come along the way. You're not going to hear anybody go out there publicly, go out there and critique them. Certainly those that have the opportunity to go out there and sit at center court or on the wood, so to speak. You know why? Because if they ever did, they'd have those privileges taken away. So
yeah, exactly.
That's why nobody will be critical of anything that is said. That's the way it's run at Madison Square Garden. So I think you got to look at this and say to yourself, you have to hope for the best and fear for the worst, and see exactly where this organization goes as far as their next head coach. I do know this: they're going to have an impossible time finding a coach that's as good as Thibodeau, as good as what he does. Might be a better offensive-minded coach out there, but didn't work out for Chicago when they decided to move on from Tom Thibodeau. They've moved back into the realm of irrelevancy once. I'm curious to see exactly how it's going to work out for the Knicks. But
that can't happen.
Everybody that was an anti-Thibodeau guy is going to go out there and celebrate like it's 1999.
Yeah, and to be an anti-Tib guy means that you just don't appreciate where this team has come for being in the playoffs in the last 4 out of 5 years, to winning as many games as they won in this playoff stretch, in this playoff run. Undoubtedly, they were exposed with a lot of things that went wrong as far as the defensive liabilities that Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns were. When you look at, overall, the roster, is he in charge? Is Tom Thibodeau in charge of the roster creation? You talk about minutes, but who's he going to play in those situations? Who are you expecting him to play? He's going to play his guys that are the chosen 5 to be the starters, and 6 when you bring in Josh Hart, with Mitchell Robinson, who you never know with Mitchell Robinson how healthy he's going to be for how long, right? So there weren't things that you could bank on and say, oh yes, we can count on our depth. We can really rely on our bench. Although the bench played well at times, and if you go into, and this is where I think it gets misconstrued. Like, you look at the plus minuses and you sit there like, oh, they were a better team when they had their defensive backups in the game. Well, so did the other team. The other team had backups in the game. So you're having 2 defensive going back at it. And of course their plus minus looks better because they're not getting scored upon nearly with the same way that when you have the starters out there versus a guy like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. So that's where I have a problem with the plus minus. You can look into it and look way too far into it and say, oh, well, look at how many minuses there were on this team. There's got to be a reason for this. And now you're going to point the finger to the head coach because he's not getting the most out of that roster.
I think it's more about style, and people want to go out there the modern game, or it was his
style. We
saw
style with DAntoni. Then we'd see style with DAntoni when he came over with a high-flying offense.
Right, that was 7th, but that was a coach that was incapable of adjusting.
I got it.
Right. I don't think it's going to be a Mike D'Antoni hire. I think it's going to be a case of I don't know where they're going to go, to be honest with you. I don't know. Michael Malone, I don't know. Conflicting reports there. Johnny Bryant. There's some within the building that really like Johnny Bryant. I don't know. You're going to bring in a guy that's never coached in the NBA now to coach the Knicks, and you have to go out there and win a championship, because those are the expectations.
That's it.
Now.
That's it. It is not to make the playoffs. It is not to be a competitive team.
Go win a title.
That's it. So that's what your expectations are for a first-year coach, right? And we see, like, when players get together, first time, Karl-Anthony Towns being in, how does this flow? How's this offense going to work? How many touches are there with the basketball when you have a team, set up the way that we have? Because we knew that the Julius Randle Brunson thing, that got handled because of injuries. That didn't get handled because of you got them enough touches. Like, that could have played out to be a disaster. You had all-star caliber players playing together, and you said, at the time when Brunson walked into it, Randall was the guy. Brunson wasn't thought of coming here being the guy. You can't go back and look at anybody who came in and said what a great signing the Brunson signing was. You had Julius Randle, who had just left the Lakers and was getting into his prime and was the leader of this team. And I get it. It wasn't a team that was as complete as the team we saw today. But at the same time, what could have gone wrong? If it wasn't for injuries to Randle, the sharing of the ball, the in-house things that were handled by Tom Thibodeau, who would handle 99% of the things in-house that you never heard about. Like, how is this going to play out at the next? We saw this. Look at what the Milwaukee Bucks, they were 31 and whatever it was when they fired their head coach and brought in Doc Rivers. And what a disaster that was. Like, John Mara said it, right? When you fire their head coach, it's a reset. You're starting over. The Knicks don't need to start over. They needed adjustments and tweaking, but they didn't have to start over.
No, I agree with you. I don't disagree with that. I think every situation is a little bit different, but I don't think you can judge it each one the same. I don't disagree with any of that. So, but now that whoever comes in to take over this role, that's the reign that they're going to be given. Go out there, be dominant during the course of the regular season, and then reach the expectations come the NBA playoffs, because the goal is to win an NBA championship. I mean, that's basically it. The Knicks are now
no pressure. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. So so that's the frustrating aspect when you look at it. I mean, it was a stunning decision yesterday, no question. And I think now for the Knicks is exactly where do you go from here? And you look at a roster. The frustrating aspect is I don't think this was the cleanest roster you could be handed. I think there's deficiencies when you look at certain players that are quote unquote, one-way players, good at one aspect of the game, not good at all aspects of the game. Now you're going to have to bring in a coach that's going to go out and clean that up. I mean, the guy that's probably the most appealing is Michael Malone, but according
he's harder on his guys than Thibodeau was.
Yeah, Geltzeiler talked about that last night on Sirius XM NBA Radio when he joined us on Sports Nation Nightly. Yeah, I mean, I look at it and say, okay, but there are reports that that he's not really all that well thought of within the Knicks building. Maybe that changes. Who knows? Maybe he gets an interview. Pie in the sky stuff. Jay Wright. I mean, he's never coached in the NBA, coached college basketball. You're going to go out there and hire Jay Wright? Maybe. You're going to throw a boatload of money at him. I mean, why would he leave his cushy broadcasting job for everything that comes along with this job? I don't know if he necessarily would. I mean, where do you exactly go from here if you're the New York Knicks? I mean,
you got three, right? You got 3 years, $30 million that Thibodeau is sitting back on. Listen, if you came to me and I was the head coach like Tom Thibodeau and you said, listen, we're thinking of maybe going another direction, I don't think the fight was very strong out of him to be like, all right, let me stick around, because he knows what's waiting for him. He knows, can he do broadcasting? Sure. Can he do whatever he wants to do? Sure. 30 million. The aggravation, this guy's a basketball lifer, has nothing else going for him. And for him to be told, take a 3-year vacation for $30 million after all the time he's put into this, after all the hours he's put into this throughout the season, after all the headaches, no matter how well they did, it wasn't enough. And for them to come and say, it's not going to be enough, we're going to bring somebody else in. I get it. Mike Maloney had a championship with one of the greatest players of all time, Jokic being the driving force in that. There is not a Jokic on this team, right? There's not. You're not looking at something of that nature where he's going to be able to just walk in. Changing the culture once again. The whole thing is now you have these guys from Villanova. So if you say Jay Wright, bringing in the Villanova guy, we heard from Geltz last night. There are reports that the players were aggravated with how many touches Jalen Brunson got. So now what happens? Jay Wright, remember, Jay Wright, when Bridges was with Jay Wright, Bridges was the man. The underclassmen of Brunson and Hart and DiVincenzo looked up to a guy like that. And now all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Shift the offense around and make it off of Bridges instead of off of Brunson? Like, there's nothing that makes sense in this whole decision. It's, to me, a reaction that was done by ownership and said, there's too much going on where we need it to be better and we have to make the best of that. But if there's not a plan in place, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And that's the frustrating aspect of it. The dysfunction has returned back to Madison Square Garden after what we saw yesterday. He's Nelson Figueroa. I'm Marc Malusis. Nelson will be dancing during the course of the break. And we'll come back. We'll mix a little baseball into the conversation. We'll do that next right here on Pix 11 Plus. Welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. I'm Marc Malusis, Nelson Figueroa with you. And we got into the Knicks and the decision to fire Thibodeau. What's next? Well, we'll all find out together. As far Mets and Dodgers continue to be entertaining. Freddie Freeman with the hero, 10th inning walk-off shot last night for the Los Angeles Dodgers as they win it, led early. Mets led early, 4-1, trailed 5-4, win it 6-5. Been a great first two games for the sport of Major League. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just a continuation of what we saw in the NLCS. And, what I love is that this team doesn't back down. Are they at full strength, the New York Mets? No. Are they clicking on all cylinders? No. But they keep finding a way, get down early. McGill, is out there feeling pretty good, throwing 95-mile-an-hour cutters, getting Shohei Ohtani to swing and miss, striking him out. And, he's feeling good about himself. But then all of a sudden, it rears its evil head, right? One bad pitch, and the Dodgers make you pay. That lineup is that deep. A guy like Max Muncy, who is always an afterthought because his batting average continues to go down, but he's very dangerous when it comes to hitting the long ball. 2 home runs last night. The big blow there in the 9th inning. You're not able to have Diaz to close it out. This isn't the old school mentality of my closer is going to close as long as there's a closing situation, no matter what. It's early in the year, and they don't want to push him to 3 games in a row, and so they didn't do that. Brazelbaum makes one bad pitch in the inning because he strikes out the side, and it's that fastball, which was an ill-advised fastball. A guy like Max Muncy, maybe you just throw him a bunch of changeups so you can get him to chase, but he was able to take advantage of a fastball that was in the zone. High fastball hits it out of the ballpark, and then the Mets still had a chance there, and the walk-off. Freddie Freeman hits that ball. It takes a different path than normal because of his bad angle, the double deep in the air. Nimmo goes right, looks left, ball game over. So you lick your wounds, throw it to the side, and look forward to Game 3 of this 4-game series.
Yeah, it's going to be, but it's been fun. I mean, you went through in terms of what has happened. I think, kind of big picture is that you want to get more of this. I mean, that's it. I mean, this is good. It's fun baseball. You got to stay up late on the East Coast in order to go out there and watch it and take it all in. There's no doubt about it. But
and Sodto hit a home run.
Sodto hit a home run as well. I was going to get to that momentarily, but it was. I think for all intents and purposes, you look at the scenario was that you got 2 very, give the Mets credit, evenly matched teams that we see here in the regular season. Quite honestly, we could see a rematch in the National League Championship Series. And, Sodto made a catch last night going into the stands and goes out there and hits a home run, starting to heat up a little bit as we're in the month of June. This is exactly what you want to see. And we're starting to get our way. It's amazing. When Sodto starts to hit, we start to get away from all the other stories and everything. Just like I talked about a while back. Just go out there, do your job. Everything else goes away. That's what, Soto's doing to the level that Juan Sodto can, and everything else starts to disappear.
Yeah, well, we know about Francisco Lindor leads off a game with a home run. They've won 27 straight games of that nature, right? It just feels right now with Juan Sodto, no matter what, when he hits a home run, is it a game-changing home run where they're now winning the game? The big moment that hasn't come for Juan Sodto, where we see him with bases loaded and drives the ball into the gap to put the Mets ahead or to win a game. We haven't seen that as of yet, and we saw that right away with the Yankees. I mean, literally, that first series in Houston, the first 3 or 4 games of the year, he was the reason they won each and every one of those games, right? He made a great throw from the outfield to throw a comeback. He got a big hit with bases loaded. So all those different things that we saw right away, and then it becomes the expectation that it's supposed to happen every single time. Still haven't seen it yet. And granted, he hits the 2-run home run, gets him back in the ball game, makes it 4-3. And that's what you want to see, is this guy starting to heat up, starting to have better at-bats, starting to capitalize on mistakes and not swinging through them so much. We've never seen him, and I say never, even though we haven't watched every single at-bat. We haven't watched him on every single pitch throughout his career, but it just feels right now in a Met uniform, when he's getting pitches to hit, he isn't capitalizing always on them and hitting the ball hard, whoever it may be, a single, double, triple, or home run, doesn't matter to me. It's just, especially in big moments, seeing him get pitched to with the expectation that he's going to come through is going to start to happen. I mean, luck would have it. It can't always be this way where he doesn't come through in the clutch. He's always been a pretty clutch player, a pretty clutch hitter, someone who draws the attention of a scouting report and says, don't let this guy beat you. Whether that's the case or not, the way he's being pitched differently, whatever it may be. But Pete Alonso, another RBI last night to get the Mets on the board early. This team is starting to slowly find their way, and the offense, if they can get some production out of the bottom of their lineup, that's going to really, really help, because we know how good the first 4 or 5 batters can be.
Yankees Guardians last night. The Yankees victorious. Devin Williams made you sweat late. Stepping in, Luke Weaver's going to be out, 4 to 6 weeks. Going to get a PRP injection, but that's not a positive. And Williams doesn't necessarily look anywhere close to the closer that he was a year ago, or has been for the career with the Milwaukee Brewers. But you get some power from Volpe, you get some power from Jazz Chisholm Jr. So you like to see that. The Yankees always seem to be Cleveland, and the Guardians are a pretty good baseball team when you look at the complexion of the American League, which is not overly teeming with quality. But good win for the Yankees last night after an off day on Monday. Get a series going with a win last night, and Williams was not great, but did his job.
Yeah, it's the new closer, right? This isn't Mariano Rivera days of going out there and being able to just dominate. We're seeing more and more closers for whatever reason may be. And it's funny because you're like, oh, well, he's only a 2-pitch pitcher. Mariano was a 1-pitch pitcher, and he could tell you it was coming, and you still weren't going to hit it, right? Because he just executed to perfection. So, you can make all the excuses you want. You can, all the variables, if it's hot out, cold out, different temperatures, not in the dome, all the different things that you want to pull out of there. Bottom line is this, right? W's and L's. Get the job done, get the save for the team, and let's move forward. So I just think it's so magnified, especially like how many saves would you say, in his Brewer career were with guys in scoring position and 2 outs and he came through? It doesn't always happen that the guy goes out there and just dominates and strikes out the side. And the ERA is still a 0 if you leave bases loaded and they don't score. So at the end of the day, all's well that ends well. He gets his first save since Luke Weaver has gone out. And listen, it shouldn't be in a guy's 5th or 6th year of pro ball, of Major League Baseball, all-star caliber, that we're sitting here waiting. He's making an adjustment to the league. No, it's bull. We've got to realize that they are maybe seeing something in him. There may be the way that they're laying off pitches. Maybe they're just saying, hey, don't swing. It's so nasty. Don't swing. Jerry's Familia was very famous with that, because he threw a 98-mile-an-hour bowling ball sinker that teams would go up there and just, the first 2 guys were sacrificial. They would stand there and they would be able to get 4 balls out of that sinker rather than 3 strikes, and they'd get on base. And all of a sudden the wheels are turning. So it could be a situation like that where they're just making him throw more strikes and challenging him to be more in the strike zone. And it's not a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So it's a little bit more hittable than those upper echelon closers who throw 100, 102. But when he has that changeup working, which is his bread and butter, it's one of the most unhittable pitches in baseball. And it at least will elicit soft contact. That's what you're looking for, is a soft contact. But we're just seeing a lot of balls out of it rather than getting that soft contact.
Well, enjoy National Cheese Day. Go have some cheddar cheese for yourself and have a nice walk.
Cheddar cheese. Of all the cheeses you pick, cheddar?
Why not cheddar?
It's even got a fig. Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with cheddar.
Wish.
I don't know what this is. It's good.
I don't know. Gruyere? Plenty of cheese.
Could be.
Enjoy it. Don't keep that outside too long. The cheese will not handle warm weather all that well. All right? Just so you know.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Just a little guidance on this Wednesday.
A little tip from Uncle Moose.
That's it. He's Nelson Figueroa. I'm Marc Malusis. Enjoy National Cheese Day. It's been Figgie the Moose. Have a wonderful Wednesday right here, Pixel 11 Plus.